Welcome to the golf edition of Hooked on Sport. This is South Australia's summer golf wrap, where we uncover the stories, personalities and moments that define golf across South Australia and beyond. It's time to talk golf with sports commentator Ben Hook and state golf representative Sophie Hilditch.
Johnny Wallace, thanks very much. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Hooked on Sport. It is our golf edition, and this is where we give all the insight into South Australian, Australian and international golf. And the reason why we can guarantee that it is full of expertise and insight is because my co-host is none other than Sophie Hilditch. Soph, after a couple of days off, welcome back to the microphone. Have you had a nice little break?
Yeah, I've had a lovely little break. Well, I've just been doing my day job, unfortunately, so I don't know if I can call it lovely being a lawyer, but no, I'm joking. Sometimes it is good fun. But no, it's been a nice break, but I'm very happy to get behind the mic again.
Australian Open, we had an opportunity to reflect on it, of course, but look, a week on, how did you enjoy the experience? And I guess undoubtedly now, you know, the most significant woman in South Australian golf media.
Well, no, reflecting on it, I had such a good time. It was so much fun. I think Kyonga presented beautifully and did a great job setting up all the tents and all the hospitality. The crowds were spectacular. The players were even better. And the Hannah Green win was just exceptional and everyone is excited. It's the winner that everyone wanted. So it was good fun. And it was a great learning experience for me go to all those press conferences.
Well, I'll tell you what, Wallace did a wonderful job with our cricket episode in your absence. If you're interested in South Australian cricket, go back and listen to that. It only got dropped on Thursday morning. There's a great chat in particular with the two coaches of the Premier Women's Grand Finalists. So Jamie Pinelli of Kensington, Jason Gentle of Glenelg. Wonderful chat. I'd encourage you to go back and listen to that. But continue on if you are a golf fan. Sophie, normally we convene on a Monday evening and we have a traditional start. Now it's Friday and we're talking about previews rather than reviews, but we're going to start in the same part of the world. I want to know who Sophie's star for the week has been.
Well, it's a bit delayed, and it's a bit unusual for me, but I'm actually going Steph Kyriakou. Now you must be thinking, Steph has not been playing good golf. She's not
Shot
going
a million day one.
Yeah. Shot a million day one at the Australian Open and continues to shoot million over in Queensland at the WPGA Championship. But I actually really respect her. She's come out on social media and said, mentally, I'm struggling with my game at the moment, but I'm still so happy to be back home. I'm continuing to work on it. She's really owning that she's not playing well, but she is going out. She's still smiling the entire time, which, to be honest, Ben, I don't know if I would be smiling when I'm hitting duck hooks and massive fades off the tee. It looks incredibly frustrating, but I'm going to call her Sophie Star only because I found her really inspirational, owning that she's struggling, owning that this is not her best stuff. It must be so disappointing and just demoralizing in front of a home crowd, particularly when you are one of the poster girls for all of these events. And the spotlight has really been on Steph, as well as obviously the three major winners in Hannah Green, Grace Kim and Minjee Lee. But I think she's handling it incredibly well. She's staying composed, she's staying smiling, and she's addressed it in media and said, yep, don't have my best stuff, but sometimes in golf you don't have your best stuff, and I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep working this stuff out, and hopefully in my next few events I can get it back on track.
Love that, Soph. Did not see it. There was one thing that stood out to me was day one of the Australian Open. She's feature group and she is all over the course, has no idea which way it's going. And I think you could sort of get yourself in a bit of a funk, become very introspective, have nothing to do with anyone, look down at the ground, grumpy face. But she wandered over past Ewan Porter, who was the on-course reporter, and she must have known that the focus was going to be on her and how she was racking up an enormous number. And she just wandered past him and said, at least I'm giving you something to talk about, you guys. And so to have that attitude is amazing. And then for the second week, as you really accurately identified, she could have easily just gone WD and packed up her clubs for a couple of weeks. But she knows she's a draw card. She knows that the WPGA relies on her and the other big names for these tournaments, and she fronts up regardless. So it's a really well-identified one, Soph. Well done. Can I come a little bit closer to home for Ben's best?
Yep.
I love the family aspect of golf, and I know you do as well. So I know you have many opportunities to play with your brother and your mum and your dad, and I think it's wonderful. But I always keep an eye out for what's going on with families in and around Pennant Golf. We've seen the Dash brothers who played at Thaxted Park in the last few years, and they've gone to Wollonga now. The Eadie brothers stepped out for Thaxted Park last weekend. Matt and Chris Hodgson both represented Mount Osmond in Simpson Cup a couple of years ago. Father and son Tony and Charlie Nobbs represented represented the Vines. They're still representing the Vines now, of course. Jill and Josie Hodge, of course, both played Pennant Golf in Sanderson Cup together for the Glenelg Golf Club. Well, there's another one around the traps, and you would know this family, Soph. Steph Keylock, who you might be coming up against in a couple of weeks at the Grange Golf Club. Her little sister Lucy is playing in the Pike Cup and played number 2 in the match last weekend against Sandy Creek. The number 1 for Sandy Creek was mum, Susan Keylock. Now, a little bit disappointed that Sandy Creek and the Grange didn't get together and say, why don't we pit mother and daughter against each other? That would be an epic little match off. But yeah, Susan Keylock, very heavily involved in Sandy Creek. The daughters are now playing at Grange, and I thought it was wonderful to see mother taking on daughter in opposite teams. That was a week and a half ago now in the Pike Cup. So another great family connection in South Australian golf. The Percys as well, Soph. Actually, my wife, Sarah Chia, played against Deb Percy in A3 golf on Monday. Now, she's got 3 sons, Jordan, James, and Harry. They're all in the Kooyonga Bonner Cup team. So I love those little family stories of golf, and I'm adding the Keylocks to one of my all-time favourites. I'm putting them down as Ben's best for this week.
I love it, Ben. The Keylocks that you mentioned is such a beautiful family. Susie Keylock, now she is a wrecking ball at number 1 in Pike. She really should be up playing at Sanderson. I bet you Grange would wish she'd come across to their side because she's a force to be reckoned with, and her daughters are no different.
She might bump her daughter out of one of the teams, so that's probably why there'd be mixed emotions about the Grange getting her in. It might cost Lucy a spot. So talking about amateur golf, it's been a big week in amateur golf. The State Amateur Classic for the men, the Rene, Erichsen, Salver for the women. It finished only about an hour and a half ago. Tell us the results.
Yeah, it was an amazing tournament, always held at Royal Adelaide, and always a very popular event for all the players across the country, particularly with the Australian Open having been played at Kooyonga Golf Club and returning to South Australia, but to Royal Adelaide in 27. So a lot of the girls are definitely interested in coming out and seeing what the course is looking like. We had some excellent scores. We had amazing weather, but we did have a little bit of rain, which meant the Royal Adelaide green softened up a little bit, and it meant that they could really attack Dins. It was Abel Edward from Kingston Heath, which held the lead through 54 holes and managed to get the job done. And Amelia Harris for the women with a 6 under today, taking over Rachel Lee, who was actually 6 shots ahead of her going into the final round. Amelia Harris, that is an incredible achievement. Unbelievable. She actually birdied her last hole to grab that trophy.
Yeah, I'll just refer back to, is it Abel Edward? I reckon he shot in the 60s all 4 days, Soph. I reckon he's gone 4 under, 4 under, 5 under, 3 under 69 to wrap it up at 15 under. Not sure I've got my maths quite right there, but that's really impressive off the blue tees around Royal Adelaide, even with the greens a little softer, as you said.
Some of these boys were absolutely incredible, Hookie. The drives that they were hitting, I heard a lot of them, and I think he was playing with Cheshire, drove the 11th green from the blue tees with no wind.
Yeah, you see, that is a different sport, isn't it? I mean, I lay up short of the bunker, which is short of the waist area, which is, another 80 metres short of the green. So hitting at 350 off the back tees, I reckon. Now, probably a little bit wind assisted, but that is just, for 99% of golfers, that's not in your armoury. They're playing a different sport, those lads.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. Talking about playing a different sport, let me take you around what's going on in men's professional golf, and I'll keep this as short and sharp as I possibly can because we're at the Valspar Championship at the Copperhead course at Innisbrook. I quite like this course, Soph, I have to be honest with you. It is a course where there's a fair bit of water in play, in particular on the back 9. And the last 3 holes are known as the Snake Pit, and I am a sucker for a stupid little name. We had the Bear Trap at the at the Cognizant Classic a couple of weeks ago, which is the way that Jack Nicklaus set up those last 4 holes to really trap the player, if you like. Now we've got the Snake Pit at the Copperhead course. I mean, they're ridiculous and they're stupid, but I fall for them every time. What I do love about professional golf, and we saw it in the Players last week, is when there's a lot of water in play, you can see mistakes and you can see some real volatility in a leaderboard. I don't think you want it absolutely every week, but it's something we see in the back nine at the Masters, and we saw it last week at the Players, and we're seeing it this week at the Valspar as well. Sanjay M leads at 7 under. Brandt Snedeker, a bit of a blast from the past, is 1 back at 6 under. The best story of the day, and this probably explains this Copperhead course better than anything, was Jordan Spieth, who eagled the first hole. He was 5 under through 7. He was still 5 under through 16. Then absolutely in Jordan Spieth style, shipped one 100 miles right of the fairway, nearly missed the water on the other side of the hazard. He hit it that far right and made double bogey there, and then I missed a pretty straightforward putt on 18 for a bogey as well. Gave back 3 shots in the last 3 holes, and he gets in at 2 under. I love that sort of golf. I love the way things can happen pretty dramatically on a leaderboard, and that's why, even though this isn't a big event coming so soon after the Players, a lot of withdrawals over the course of the week. But it's still an event that I'm going to keep an eye on over the course of the week. So the other big men's professional golf event right now, there is a very, very funny one in China that is a DP World Tour event. No TV coverage at all. It's a Pro-Am. So you've got these European golfers playing at Mission Hills. It's called the Hainan Classic or something like that. But no TV, no walking scorers. It's all done DIY. This is a DP World Tour event. You can get into the PGA Championship for winning it, but it's a Pro-Am event where they're playing with local Chinese guys who don't speak any English. And of course, the European players don't speak a whole lot of Mandarin or Cantonese, whatever the local language is as well. They're all in carts. It's the most hilarious thing you've ever heard of. A story for another time. But if I can just take you over to Live Golf South Africa, which is rivaling Live Golf Adelaide for absolutely blowing the doors off what a traditional golf event looks like. They're expecting 100,000 people over the course of the 4 days. It's Bryson DeChambeau, who is at a tie for the lead with Charles Howe III. Again, it's set up very, very easy. I mean, they're not serious about the way they set up golf tournaments, Live. We know that. But Bryson's at 8 under alongside Charles Howe III, Sergio Garcia, Brandon Grace at 7 under. I think I had a look at my notes here. There was 49 of 57 players at par or better. So it is absolutely dead easy, the club at Stain City. But that's going to be an event to keep a watch on, just because there's going to be probably 30,000 South Africans all absolutely raucous, barracking for their local team on Sunday night as we take it all in, Soph. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see a bit of a rival to the Australian one, because the Australian Live has always been so popular and everything else looks a bit scarce. So I'm happy that South Africans are really getting around it. And it's good that they've got a team as well. I think it's similar to the Rippers. Australia really needs someone to root for, and the Rippers is exactly what we needed. And the South African team will be the same for the South Africans.
Yeah, they were the Stingers. They're now the Southern Guards. Cameron Smith, a nice little return to form. He shot 5 under overnight, so he's in a tie for 7th place. Closer to home, Soph, what's going on in the WPGA Championship?
The women are over in Queensland now. Hannah Green actually mentioned it. She didn't have time to celebrate her win, her National Open win, because she was heading on a plane only some 2 hours later to head straight to Queensland. It's getting played at the Sanctuary Cove. I've actually played this course, Hookie. It's had a little bit of a redo since I played there, but my memory
as well. You and me both. Yeah,
oh, lovely.
Long time ago, but I've played it a couple of times. Yeah,
my memory.
A lot of water.
Yeah,
I lost a few pills there.
Lots of water. Lots
Cost
of
me
hazards.
a good half dozen, I reckon.
Yeah, lots of trees, lots of rough, lots of lost balls. You hit into a driving range of water, which is always kind of entertaining, but also really frustrating because you don't see how the ball lands and you've got really no idea what's going on. I got a blood nose at the end of this tournament. I still remember it having to come down the 18th hole with just blood gushing down my nose straight onto my shirt.
How did that happen?
I've got no idea. Just a random blood nose.
In the face?
No, just a random blood nose, and I was playing pretty appallingly, so maybe it was just my excuse to get off the course faster. But I actually birdied that hole with the blood nose. I had something to take my mind off it. My swing all of a sudden came through, and I put it to a foot. Yeah.
If you just give yourself an uppercut and off you go.
Yeah. But anyway, the WPGA Championship, Hannah Green is currently leading through 36 holes. Another great tournament for her at the moment with 9 under. Jared Felton, her husband, still on the bag. And then we're seeing some familiar names that were also on the Australian Open leaderboard with McLaren at -8, Fosterling, Shannon Tan, Cass Alexander, favouring, again, those Europeans. Not as many Australians as we would like to see at the top of this leaderboard, though, Ben.
Yeah, but I tell you what, you only need one, don't you? And if her name's Hannah Green, then it's every chance that she's going to be in the mix come Sunday afternoon. So we'll watch that one with interest as well. So favourite part of the week for me is locking horns with you over what is going on in South Australian pennant golf. It's become a bit of a sweet spot of ours, I feel, and that's almost by accident, really, but a lot of people are taking interest in pennant golf as a whole, and certainly our thoughts and insights on it. Let's start with the Sanderson Cup. I want your insights into the match that you will not be playing in, which is Kooyonga versus the Grange. Why don't you start with your first thoughts on this matchup?
I think it's a really interesting matchup. I won't lie, Hookie. I think the Sanderson Cup this year is open to every single team. The teams are really tight, and a lot of them will be flips of the coins, particularly with Blackwood getting some extra players. We spoke about it last time we spoke about Pennant, and Blackwood, yes, got smoked by Kooyonga, but when you looked at the matches, they're all going down 17-18. Now, that is just a few putts, a few chips, a few tee shots, maybe going a little bit astray, a bit of luck here and there. That's a tight game. I know the score overall didn't reflect it, but it's definitely a tight game. So, obviously, Kooyonga are coming in with strong form, but Grange also got the win over Glenelg 3-2 last week. Huge win. I think Grange and Cooey coming off the back of 2 wins in round 1. If one of them can get a win here, it basically locks them for finals top 3, and it's a good start to the season. So I'm looking forward to this game. I'm interested. I'm very heavily interested in this game.
Give me Kooyonga's must-win player if they can get over the line.
I'm going Emily Giotis. She spoke on the pod at the beginning of the season.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. She's their number 2 player. I think Grange has an absolute impeccable top order, particularly their top 3 with Millie Winnie, Steph Keelock, who we've just spoken about at the top of the show, and Elise Kozlovich. It's a force to be reckoned with, and Kooyonga really need to get a win at the top of that order if they want to get it over the line.
What about the Grange? Who do you think has to get the job done for Grange to be victorious on Sunday?
I'm going their number 1, Millie Winnie. She's coming off good form from this SA Amateur. She's shot under par a couple of times and she's looking very good, but the opponent she's coming across, Matilda Miles, is an absolute veteran of pennant golf. She will nut out anything, and she's also had an excellent showing at the SA Am. They both, from top of my head, I think may have finished exactly at the same spot in the leaderboard. So I think Millie Winnie needs to get over the line. I think Grange need to see wins at the top of their order.
Have you got a tip?
Tip? I'm going Grange. I'm going Grange on this one. I think the team is unbelievable. I think Cooey is incredible as well. Like I said, anyone could win this cup this year, but Grange for me. I think they've got the top order is absolutely insane. And if they can get all 3 wins through those, they'll obviously win the game.
Yeah, Grange looked pretty much unbeatable to me at full strength. Just too many weapons. Winnie, Roberts, Glennon, Keelock, Kozlovich, Mia Louie. Now, that's one that got under my guard. Mia Louie has transferred from Kooyonga to the Grange. That is huge for the Grange. And I just feel like a couple of young kids, Tammy Twiss, Scarlett Packer, Packer. One or the other. We know who we're talking about. Might not have seen a lot of Blackwood, and I just reckon that the Grange will be a little bit too strong there. So I'm with you. I'm going for the Grange in a 3-2 result. I suspect that Kooyonga will take some points, but Grange probably to take 1 or 2 more.
How about the next Sanderson game? Hit me, Hookie.
So, Sophie, the second match in the Sanderson Cup is your club, Royal Adelaide, taking on Glenelg. It's going to be a fascinating matchup. Glenelg, the defending champions. You're having your first hit out for the year after missing the opening round as hosts, and therefore you get the bye. And then the second week it was in hiatus for the Women's Australian Open. So a very delayed start for your year. I haven't seen that the Royal Adelaide team has been publicly released yet. So even though I've got a pretty good idea of what I reckon it's going to be, we will let Royal Adelaide release that first up. You are going to have a couple missing, though. Alice Cho is out. I think she's returned home to Korea in recent times, and that's a big loss for you guys. And Reagan Denton not available till the second half of the year. I suspect we're going to see plenty of experience, though. I reckon you'll bring back a number of those really good, solid operators and great mates who were part of that 2024 Pike Cup win. So you certainly got some experience on your side, if nothing else there, Soph.
Yeah, we definitely have experience. Alice Cho, you're right. She has returned home to Korea with her family, but she's sending us messages 24/7. We still definitely have the support of Alice Cho, which is great to see, but she's obviously a big loss. You're right, we've got a lot of experience in our team, but we also have a lot of juniors who are absolutely wanting to join the Sanderson team as well as the Pike team. There's been a lot of work. I don't want to disclose to all my listeners because I know a lot of them are Pennant players, but there has been a lot of work at Royal Adelaide with both Reagan Denton and Alice Cho in over the past really 6 months. And I've got to say, Hookie, the vibes and the team around the Sanderson and Pike team is some of the best that I've ever seen at Royal Adelaide.
Glenelg are a really settled lineup, so they're obviously the defending champions. They did go down to the Grange a fortnight ago in the opening round. However, that could have gone either way. 3-2 it was, but there were some really close matches, and Glenelg could have easily been on the winning end of that. But now that you've got only 3 final spots for the 5 teams, if you can beat them this week, suddenly Glenelg are under real pressure because you're going to be 2 wins behind the top team, which will be the winner out of the Grange and Kooyonga. So I just feel like, and it probably hasn't been the case in Sanderson Cup for a while when it's been 5 or 6 teams, but 4 final spots. You can afford to drop 1 or 2 and you're still going to make the finals. But it's not quite like that now with 5 teams and 3 spots. You can't afford to make any really obvious mistakes. So I think both teams have got plenty to play for here. Glenelg with an opening round loss and Royal Adelaide just starting behind the rest of the field. I do feel like Glenelg have an advantage here because they have played. It's a bit like playing opening round in AFL football and not. I do feel like just getting that opening run is really handy for the Glenelg team. So I feel like that's probably where they get a little bit of a head start in this match. I've got a couple of players that I feel like are must win for one for Royal Adelaide and one for Glenelg. So I'm going to start with Laura Birchmore. I think she's the must-win for Royal Adelaide. Obviously, there's plenty resting on your shoulders. I don't take anything away from that. But Laura right now becomes one of the most experienced and critical players in the Royal Adelaide lineup. And I really want to see her just accept and embrace and enjoy that little bit of extra responsibility. Fiona Morrison hasn't played a heck of a lot. There's going to be 1 or 2 others that haven't played a whole lot at this level. Laura's one that now has, and I think between you and her, you're going to have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. For Glenelg, it's Jill Hodge for me. So Manton, Crocker, Juckapek, they've all been pretty competitive. Hodge played at 1 last year in their win. She did a huge job. She's gone down to 2 this year. She had a pretty serious loss in the opening match, but I really feel like a win to her will be a huge dagger for Royal Adelaide and make it very difficult for them to overcome when they're on the way to 3 wins. So I feel like that's one that Royal Adelaide need to find a win with against Jill Hodge. And who knows, it could be her and Laura Birchmore playing against each other, and that will make for a fascinating matchup. I feel like if Hodge gets that one, I don't know that I see a way home for Royal Adelaide. If whoever plays Jill Hodge and beats her, suddenly you're back in the market. So they're my 2 must-wins for these 2 sides, Royal and Glenelg. Do you want me to give you a tip? I imagine I know what yours is.
Yeah, I'd love your tip, Hookie.
I'm going to go Glenelg here, Soph. I think they'll win 3.5, 1.5. I think this will be a really good contest. But I just feel like with that little bit of experience, Crocker I'm such a fan of. Manton, I suspect you play Manton, and I think that will be a really good matchup. But Zoe is in pretty solid form at the moment as well. So I'm really looking forward to this game. I think it'll be a fascinating match. I'm looking forward to it. But Glenelg just for me.
Very fair, Hookie. Obviously not the tip I would be choosing, but it's a rematch of the semi-final and Royal Adelaide, we're out for blood.
Let's move on and talk about the Simpson Cup, of course. That is at Mount Osmond this week, which is an unusual course by Simpson Cup standards. It's quite short. It's very undulating, a lot of dog legs. Going to take driver out of hand a lot over the course of the 4 separate contests. Your responsibility here is to give me your view on Mount Osmond versus Kooyonga. It'll be the first match off with Mount Osmond, of course, the home team and hosts. What's your first thoughts?
First thoughts is it's an interesting matchup. Playing Mount Osmond at home, I think, is going to be a massive challenge. Kyonga is full of a team of huge hitters. And like you said, around Mount Osmond, driver often gets taken out of their hands and they won't be able to use their lethal weapon against Mount Osmond. I think Mount Osmond are going to put these pins in spots that are going to play into the hands of Mount Osmond. They've come up from A2s. They had a tight loss against the Vines last time they played. I think it's really interesting. Kui is sitting about third. There's a lot of people vying for final spots, and they're definitely not safe. So it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Soph. This is the toughest away trip in golf. Mount Osmond at Mount Osmond, there is banana peels everywhere for Kuyonga, and I mean we're expecting Kuyonga to play finals, but this is one that they would not want to take lightly. Who's your must-win for Mount Osmond?
Mount Osmond, I've gone Kenneth Chan at number
Me
two.
too.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, I've gone Kenneth Chan. From my point of view, I think Kuyonga's top order is impeccable. It's amazing. It's full of big hitters. It's full of so much talent. It's also full of players that have played so much Simpson Cup together. I think Mount Osmond need to get a win at the top of the order. Otherwise, I just don't see a pathway for them to get the win overall. They need to get one of those top three, and I think Kenneth Chan is the one to do it.
Well picked out. He's an absolute silent assassin, Ken. He is an awful matchup for whoever gets him because it's his backyard. I mean, his game is built on that course, so beautifully identified. Who's your must-win for Kuyonga?
Think I've picked him before, but I'm going Heath
Go again.
Richies. Heath
I picked
Richies
him as
again.
well.
Oh, you're kidding. See, we're on the same page.
We are. How about that?
Heath Richies, middle of the order. He's not the biggest hitter in Kuyonga, but gosh, is he consistent. And he's a lethal number 4 and number 5. They often flip him around those kind of positions. He's also the team leader. Heath has been around Kuyonga forever. If anyone knows Heath, he's such a lovely personality. In fact, when he walks in the room, it's hard to not smile. He's just infectious. And I think he brings that to the team. He brings that fight. He brings that fire. And so for me, Heath needs to get an early win against Mount Osmond. And I think it needs to be a substantial win to show Kuyonga and his teammates that we're in it. I know we might be playing the home course, but we are in it. So for me, it was Heath Richies.
No, well put, and similar points here. I mean, you just need an old head staying calm when you're in opposition territory. And I feel like, I mean, you know what it's like. So if you play this every week and you know what other players around in your team are doing. And I just feel like if there's anything that will unsettle the rest of the Kui lineup, it's hearing Heath's 3 down after 5. You know, that will actually wound the entire group a little bit. So, I mean, I expect Heath to win. Whoever he plays, he's just such a good player. But if someone does find a way past him in the early stages, I think that pervades through the group. So, yeah, he's mine as well. What's your tip in this match, Mount Osmond, Kuyonga?
My tip's Kuyonga, but I think it's going to be close. I think Kuyonga is just a powerful team. I think Mount Osmond has done an incredible job at coming up to Simpson. It is a massive leap from A2s to Simpson, and there's no denying that. But they've shown their teeth, and I think they will in this game again, particularly at their home. And they're desperate to get a win on their board, and they're on their pathway to get that win. But Kuyonga for me is just such an incredible team.
I've got Kuyonga 4.5, Mount Osmond 2.5. I fully expect Mount Osmond to take some bark off somewhere. I don't know if they'll be able to find the 4 points you need, but they have been in the fight every contest so far this year, and at home. Oh my goodness. You know, Dylan Wan wouldn't want to be playing Dylan Wan, wouldn't want to be playing Dan Searle, wouldn't want to be playing Nick Hill. These guys are experts around this place, and that's going to be a really tough matchup. I expect Kuyonga to win, but if we're sitting here on Monday, Soph, and that is a flipped result, it would not shock me at all because Mount Osmond not only play it well, these guys are up for the fight, and that's what I've really been impressed about with Mount Osmond this year. Let's move on to Glenelg and the Vines, which is probably the most significant matchup of the day, I reckon, Soph. Glenelg, the defending champions, they're in 6th. I don't think they drop to 7th, but if they lose, they go 2 matches behind 5th place with 3 rounds left, and that makes finals a real uphill battle for them. Teatree Gully are going to play finals this year. They are not coming to the back, to the pack. So Glenelg need to overtake at least one Tier 1 club and these guys in order to get themselves inside the top 4. Cade Bryant will be back. Munn and Wake are dependable. So therefore, it just lands again on Leonard, Starkey, Phillips, and Ryan. They need to find 2 wins from those 4. And the Vines will like it here. They love playing at this place. They beat Kooyonga here 2 years ago. So I think there are some massive, massive challenges for Glenelg. Wouldn't shock me at all if the Vines get the job done. My must-wins for Glenelg, it's Jackson Leonard. He mauled Chris Austin in week 1, but he's gone loss since. He'll go back to 2, I imagine, so he avoids the horror matchup against Sam Earl, but he must land a blow for Glenelg up towards the top of the order. For the Vines, it's Rob Liddell. Now, he's an absolute unknown of this competition, but he's had a win 6-5, a win 4-3, and a loss 2-1 to a former pro in his 3 matches this season. I beg your pardon. And Glenelg will look at all their opponents and go, Earl at the top, tough. Gregory at 7, around Mount Osmond, tough. Tony Nobbs at 4, tough. Ben Pearce, tough. And then you've got Rob Liddell. If he wins, it goes from tough to probably insurmountable. So if Rob Liddell, the must win, if he gets it done for the Vines, I reckon that might be the difference between winning and losing for the 2 teams.
I agree with you, Hookie. I think this is the game to watch out for. It's important for both sides. Both sides haven't had the best start to the season, so therefore it's the most interesting game for me in Simpson Cup. Should I take you to...
Give me a tip.
I'm going Glenelg for me, the premiership winners.
I'm going the Vines 4.5, 2.5. I think it's the first time in all of our tips that we've actually disagreed. Mind you, you picked Royal Adelaide in the Sanderson Cup, mainly because you play for them and you couldn't tip anyone else. Take me through Thaxted Park versus Tea Tree Gully very quickly.
Thaxted Park versus Tea Tree Gully. Thaxted had a tight loss against Royal Adelaide. They really gave them a scare at their Royal Adelaide home course. It was the youngster, Billy White, who got it over the line in the end. So Thaxted, a good competition, and they're going to be coming to Mount Osmond. They know how to play a hills course. I think this is right up their alley, but they're coming against Tea Tree Gully, top of the ladder and playing impeccably.
Must win?
Must win for me is Jordan Sherritt. He was the one that was coming up against Billy White and had the 2 birdies on 17 and 18 come against him. I think he's a must win in the middle of the order. It must be heartbreaking to lose to a guy that's about up to his knees. I think, Jordan, you need to come back stronger. I think you need to get a win for the Thacky boys. If you go to TTG, I'm going Adam Summerfield at number 7. I think TTG need to get off to a very good start straight off the bat. If Adam Summerfield can be walking around saying I'm 5 up or whatever it is, again, I think it just gives the TTG boys just a bit of a pep in their step.
Give me a tip.
I'm going to have to go Tea Tree Gully. They're on fire at the moment, and I really do not see them losing. I hope Thaxted might be able to make a little bit of an upset, and wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be a story? But Tea Tree Gully playing amazingly.
Well done. Tea Tree Gully for me as well, 5.5, 1.5. I suspect that Thaxted Park find a point, maybe a bit more here, but yeah, Tea Tree Gully going to be too strong here, and they're going to be 4 from 4. The final match, Soph, is Royal Adelaide taking on the Grange. It's Royal Adelaide's sternest test of the year. They've played the Tier 2 clubs in the first 3 weeks, and now they've got the Vines and all the Tier 1s to come. They start with the Grange, who are at full strength as far as I can tell. Mount Osmond's form hasn't been awful, but it hasn't been absolutely amazing either. And as you identified, they just fell in at home against Thaxted, which was a huge scare. Not sure I'd have any confidence on any other course about Royal Adelaide finding their way past the Grange here, but it's all about adaptability on Sunday at Mount Osmond. And I do feel like the Royal Adelaides do have that. Not saying the Grange don't, but Royal Adelaide will at least match them in that capacity to manage their way around the course. Hudson Haynes will be a watch for me. He's a former member of Mount Osmond. He's a rookie in this competition, but I expect him to be someone that really does light it up against the Grange. The Grange has so many options. So Steedman, Christie, Bogdowski, Zinn, Damasti, Baines, Hendrick, Dungy. Nunn played his first game last week and wins. I mean, I feel sorry for their manager who's got to pick 7 guys out of all of that. You know, that they have just got so much depth and so much strength. And there's a lot of guys in their Bonner Cup team who are doing well as well. My 2 must-wins very quickly for Royal Adelaide, it's Will Arnold. His best is team of the year level. He hasn't been there this year yet. Olsen's been good. Cawthorn's been good. Young Billy White's been very good. If Will Arnold steps up, they're a completely different threat, Royal Adelaide. He is the one that they need to step up. He's the must-win. For Grange, for me, it's Alan Zinn. He's quietly gone 3-0, and just listen to who he's beaten. He's beaten Heath Riches, Charlie Nobbs, and Mick Phillips of Glenelg. There is zero freebies there, Soph. Now, with all of their options, I'm sure Craig Brown, their manager, would love to have a few selections he can set and forget, and Zinn is becoming one of them. Plays 4. Royal Adelaide is 0-3 there. He's played 5, 4, and 5. So does he play 4 and try and expose a weak spot? Or does he play 5, potentially get the Billy White matchup? Wouldn't that be box office, the two young kids going head to head? But I just reckon if they put him at 5 and they send out their own trump card to try and take down their opponent's shiny new toy, that might be a legit play. My tip, Soph, Grange comfortably. I'm going 5.5 to 1.5. It's your club, your teammates. Where do you see Royal Adelaide and Grange?
I'm probably tipping Grange, which I hate to say against the Royal Adelaide boys, but what I will say is the Royal Adelaide boys are experienced and know how to play Mount Osmond. A lot of them in the team will know how to play this course. A couple of smaller hitters, but a lot of good short came around there. Billy White, by the way, I love that. I would love to see him against Allen. Billy White in the SA Classic off the tip shot 4 under in his second round to make the cut. So, look, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think Royal Adelaide coming in as the underdogs and with a little bit of a scare. I think it's going to be tighter than what you're saying, but I probably still have to lean towards Grange.
That is our Simpson and Sanderson wrap. Sophie Hilditch, thank you so much. All of our written previews are on our website, hookedonsport.com.au, which will also be uploaded to our Facebook page very shortly. So if you want to get more insight and more depth from myself and Sophie about the Simpson and Sanderson Cup competitions, please feel free to do so. Follow us on Facebook and all of our socials. You can pick it up there. Soph, great to chat with you once again, mate. Nice to have you back on board and good luck on Sunday.
Thanks, Hookie. Speak to you on Monday. Can't wait.
We will.
With the last putt sunk, that's a wrap on this golf edition of Hooked on Sport. Thanks for listening. Help us meet more golfers just like you by following us and leaving a review. We look forward to your company on the next golf edition of Hooked on Sport.